Good morning. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms. And these days we're doing Charter Moms chats at 9 a.m. Central on weekdays as a way to share with parents ways to cope with distance learning, with having your kids at home to stay safe during the pandemic. And this summer we've been sharing a lot of activities. We're calling it Charter a Summer of Learning. So if you check the link in the description of the video, it takes you to a blog post on our site. And today we have two guest bloggers. We have Jennifer St. Pierre and Elizabeth Scott, and they are the pre-K dream team at the School of Science and Technology Northwest, or SST, and they both have their work polos on, which I think look really sharp. And I'm really grateful for the blog post and for y'all being on Charter Moms Chats this morning. So the purpose of this activity is helping kids talk about their feelings, but it works for adults too, as my daughter and I discovered when we were working on, we were making some of these faces. And one of the things you talk about in the post is about the importance of role playing as a way to prepare kids for navigating social situations. So thank you. Thanks for being here. And let's talk about the activity. And but if we could start off with talking about like role playing and how that affects social emotional learning.
Well, I think role playing is super important. It puts kids in the environment ahead of time before they're faced with it out and about. And it's a safe environment. You can stop what you're doing, talk about it, and give them practice experiencing those emotions before they're faced with it maybe in an uncomfortable environment.
It just provides them with a bigger toolbox to pull out when those situations occur. So they just may only think one way, but if you've role played several different scenarios at that moment, they're able to just have more to choose from.
I'll pop my face back in so I can ask more questions. So let's see, there's two activities that y'all talk about in the post. And so if y'all, and then my daughter and I made some of these for ourselves. This is our angry face, right? And then she made this one. She made the sad face. And let's see, here's the happy face. So this activity with the paper plates, like you make the plates, you put the faces on it, and then, but it's only half the face. So, you can use them kind of like masks. But do you have advice for parents who are doing that activity at home with their kids? So like, it's more than just making the craft. It's also like how you talk to kids about it and how you get them involved with it.
So we embed the social emotional and throughout our curriculum and throughout the classroom. It rolls over at home. Having your students participate in creating the faces, they have more ownership to it. So instead of just creating, using those faces to, you could pull it into the role playing we were talking about a few minutes ago, where how does that make you feel? One thing we talked about is like you're at a restaurant and you order lemonade and the server doesn't bring you lemonade, and you order lemonade again and the server doesn't bring you lemonade. So that builds up how we're asking the child, how do you feel about that? And what can we do about that? And showing the face. Sometimes they don't have the words to know how they're feeling. Like seeing the expressions helps trigger some of those emotions. Or sometimes if they're young enough, they don't have the words yet. They don't really know what that means.
I think also with the paper plates, yes, it's showing you're masking, the mouth, but also your eyes play a big part of it too. Like if you're happy, what are your eyebrows doing as well? If you're angry, like your eyebrows, your facial expressions change, not just your mouth. So I think it's also a great chance of matching your whole facial expression with how you're feeling.
And pointing out to the kids that look at the eyes, like your eyes talk too. And now that we're doing like face coverings and we're now able to see mouths, it's a really, I think it's even key. Yesterday with the girls I was with, they we had a mask on and I was trying to do surprise, and like, oh, we can tell it's surprise because of your eyes. So I think that's where that is playing an even bigger role now, because we can't always show our face right now.
Right. It's harder to make the facial expressions evident if the mask is covering your mouth.
Yeah,
but
and
like you said, eyes are very expressive.
Yeah, your nonverbal communication is just as important as your verbal communication. Yes.
Yeah, and that's hard if so many things are happening online or over a video, right? Then like we're not able to pick up as much of the nonverbal communication from the people that we're interacting with. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to bring my face back in screen because I want to show the other activity that you guys came up with. It had to do with using Play-Doh and then shaping the expressions. So this is the one my daughter made of, like, it's supposed to be tongue sticking out. And then she made a happy face. Yeah. And then let's see, she made an angry face and she wasn't sure what to do about the mouth for the angry face. So she made it kind of a squiggly line.
Look at those eyebrows. Great.
Definitely, yeah. Those are definitely some angry eyebrows on there for sure.
Right, and I think also allowing them the opportunity to, like when you said she didn't know how to make the angry, but talking that through with them or with her, so it becomes on how she feels about it, not how as adults we feel, but how does she feel and what does she think or he think. I think that's key too. Yeah,
make it personal to them, right? Yeah. This was the sad face she came up with too. Like, oh, with the so well, do you have any more? Let's see, I'll take my face out of it. Do y'all have suggestions for the Play-Doh activity about like if parents are doing it at home with their children? Because I know that you're adapting this advice from, these are activities that y'all would do in class with young children. But the principles still count, and it's still helpful, for families to do at home with their own children.
So I think at home, Play-Doh probably isn't used maybe always as much as maybe it could. We are huge fans of Play-Doh. You can do just about anything with Play-Doh. It's really one of the greatest inventions ever. But it also, working with Play-Doh doesn't, with this activity isn't just talking about that social emotional development. It's also working on fine motor development, which is huge because in order to become a writer, you have to have great fine motor skills. And these little muscles in their hands need time to develop before they're holding a pencil and drawing straight lines, curved lines, diagonal lines, which they need to be able to do in order to write letters, writing their name, and that develops as they go. So Play-Doh is a huge help in this area. Not only rolling balls, but rolling snakes is one of the greatest things you can do with Play-Doh. So using those skills, working with the faces, helps develop those skills as well. So it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, and I think at home, a lot of parents don't use Play-Doh because it's messy. But some of the things that I would recommend, or we recommend, is like get a placemat that's like a white washable placemat and just have it contained on there. Also, like cookie sheets. We use a lot of those in the classroom. So the little pieces stay contained because there's a little lip around the side. And then you don't necessarily have to print out the face like you were showing the example. Use that Play-Doh, roll the snake, have them create the snake face, like the circle for the face. Again, it's another way when they're feeling frustrated is to use the Play-Doh and then using it to express that frustration, working on those fine motor skills. We use in the classroom Play-Doh every day, several times a day, and they love it. And I think it's at home, kids don't get enough of that because I think the mess factor comes in and people, you don't want it in your carpet. I understand, I don't want it in my carpet, but just finding a way to keep it contained or do it outside when on the patio or the outside table. Yeah. I hadn't even thought about the fine motor. I hadn't even thought about the fine motor skills aspect of it. I think sometimes parents think, oh, there's some kind of checklist or there's some kind of things they need to do, but really what you're showing is that it's just through play that kids are getting that practice. Yeah. They
don't know they're learning when they're learning, and that's what our life is about. Yes. We don't want them to think, school, and we want them to enjoy school and enjoy learning. And if they don't realize they're learning and through, because they're playing, like, it's really like the best of both worlds.
Right. We, in the classroom and even at home, we play all the time, and it embeds those fine motor. We talked about the Play-Doh and getting that, but you could do the same thing with Legos. You could have them get creative, and it's harder to do the circle. So give them a circle and make Play-Doh face or Lego faces. So that's a key fine motor skill too. And again, it's about playing all day and facilitating that play and providing opportunities. A lot of kids are like, I'm bored, I have nothing to do. So sit down with them and say, I'm feeling frustrated that you're bored. So get the Play-Doh out and you make it yourself. I think participating, facilitating, role-playing, doing it yourself, being involved really helps and brings them over into the activity to make it a more engaging.
Yeah. I think kids respond better when it's not something that's being done to them or something where it's like they're expected to do it and the adults kind of get, sit back. It is, that's, I mean, it's, these times are challenging sometimes, but having time to sit down with your kids together and do an activity, and the thing about the social emotional learning is it's something that as adults, I mean, this is a challenging time for us. And so, the more we're able to get in touch with our feelings, I mean, it's been a time of growth for me too, because I don't have as many of my usual distractions, right? I can't go to the coffee shop or whatever, or I choose not to. So, like some of my usual distractions are, going different places around town. Like instead we're just trying to find ways to keep learning at home. And that's why, in this project, we're trying to like suggest different activities each day. And, the suggestions you're giving are really helpful because like I think parents might feel a little discouraged of like, oh, it's another day that we're kind of stuck at home. But instead you could think of it as today's the day we get out the Play-Doh, or like today's the day we start a new habit of like, having Play-Doh time every day, and right. And a way to overcome the mess by, keeping it corralled somehow, right? Like find a place that has no carpet, right? Like keeping
I would not do it in carpet, but you can, it's your choice. But I do think that is parents are scared or reluctant is probably a better word to do it because of the mess involved. And then there's cleanup. And so then that's a great opportunity to talk about feelings and emotions also during the whole process, including cleanup. And I'm sure there's going to be a scenario, it happens even in the classroom, a child doesn't want to help. And like, how does that make me feel as an adult? We talk about feelings all the time and how my heart hurts or I'm feeling sad but expressing those, being verbal with those and modeling that, they pick up on that.
I think it's so embedded in what we do naturally as pre-K teachers that it just is second nature for us to talk about it. We do it all day long. And so it really comes natural to us. Which I think helps our program thrive the way it does.
Yes, I totally agree. It's hard to sometimes think about telling parents what to do because we just do it.
Yeah, that's why I really appreciate you taking the time to make the blog post about it so that, parents get that starting point and then maybe they have the awakening of like, oh, I can do, right? Because like you said, you can change it up by adding Legos or using, or you could go outside and use like dirt or sticks or something. Or
absolutely, oh yeah, go on a nature walk and collect rocks and use the rocks to do it. I mean, there's so many. I mean, we could probably go all day long with ideas.
Cotton balls.
They just pop in our heads. And,
cotton. I'm sitting right now. I'm just thinking of cotton balls. They pull them apart. Another fine motor skill. Like they can shape the cotton balls. Just anything really to use. To make the, where the blog says Play-Doh, but you can use anything. We've seen over distance learning, we saw some pretty creative nature faces that our students created. They went on a nature walk and created like Miss St. Pierre just said. So just thinking about it all the time. And again, it's kind of embedded at who we are. So.
Yeah, but I want parents to feel like that there's not. I mean, you guys are experts, right? But parents can start to learn these skills, and it doesn't have to be intimidating. It's something. And
absolutely.
even if you haven't been as hands-on before, there's always like, today's a good day to start. So.
Right, and I also think it's important to remember that when children create things, it does not have to be perfect, and everybody's is different. We're not all the same, so our creations are not going to be the same. So something that looks like angry to you might not look angry to me, and that's okay, because we're expressing and talking about it, and we're talking about what, like when we think of sad, we think of frown face, but not everybody does a frown face when it's sad. So being able to read those cues and understanding everyone is different, and how we express ourselves, it is different, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I think that helps kids feel safe, that they can create, and they're not going to be judged about what they're making. That it's more about getting them to participate and not feeling bored or feeling isolated. That right.
I think that builds up self-esteem too, which is huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a huge part of social emotional, is building that self-confidence and that self-esteem, knowing that you can do it and you're going to be accepted, or you don't care if you're accepted or not, but you're not going to be judged. I think that's key.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, so in the post, in addition to the activities, you also talk about some picture books, and then you included links to storytellers, like sharing about these books. So in the post, there's, it's like, depending on how parents want to use it, they can either just play the video with their kids and watch the storybook, or they can like click through and like maybe get the book from the library or something like that. So but tell me about like the books that you chose, and they're all about expressing feelings and naming feelings. But like, why if you have a favorite book among the set that you recommended, or tips about families using those at home.
Sure. My favorite is If You're Angry and You Know It. It's a typical If You're Happy, If You Know It song. So unfortunately, being at home, we don't really have access to all of our books and whatnot. So we did put the links in there. But it is If You're Happy and You Know It, they change it to If You're Angry and You Know It. And what I like the most about this book is it tells you what you can do when you're angry. It says stomp your feet, walk away, take deep breaths, things like that. So telling them what to do when they are angry. And the link, she does sing it. You can sing it or not, put your own twist on it. There are lots of digital books access to digital books out there right now too. So you might be able to find it somewhere else. That's why I just really like it, because it gives you those words, angry. And then at the end, it tells you it talks about how you become happy after you've expressed your anger. So it shows that you can be angry, but you don't have to stay angry. There's a way to express it, get it out, and then go back to the happy or a different emotion or feeling.
And I really love the Color Monster. I think there's so many other activities you can do after reading the story, or now, like, given YouTube, you can watch somebody else read it if you don't have access to it. But it assigns colors to feelings, and I think that is a great conversation starter as well.
So just to piggyback, I too like that book. We put them in there, but using the words blue, like feeling blue or feeling green or brown, the different colors that they use in the book, is just another piece of language to just help with that development of expressing and communicating and using different terms, using, like I said, the color words versus like angry or happy or calm. It uses different words like that in the book.
Right. Like you said, that with young children, sometimes the barrier is like they have the strong feeling, but they don't know what to call it. They don't know how to name it. So adding colors to their vocabulary, is another way to get the feelings, like talking about it and naming it instead of just holding inside or being confused, or, and then Ms. Scott, what you said about that, teaching the lesson that like, you can be angry and you can, act on that, stomp or walk away, but you don't have to stay feeling angry. That, feelings are something that you can change, and you're not stuck like that. And that's a really important lesson.
So I think using the book, the color book, with the role playing that we were talking about before, is when you see something blue, like, oh, what did that remind you of in that book? And how do we change from blue to a different color? Just bringing those colors into your daily conversation too. And it goes back to, like we said, the role playing and just embedding play and interaction. Just talking and communicating and participating with children is huge.
Right, like you talked about for role playing, like, you know, a hypothetical situation. You mentioned like a restaurant situation, but you know, and then it can also be like as a parent saying like, well, I'm frustrated because you're not helping me clean up, right? Or that
Yes.
these opportunities come up all the time, and that, you know, as adults, if we get in the habit of naming our feelings, like you guys said, you're early childhood teachers, so you're used to it, but it's something that that we sort of as civilians, like as parents who are doing distance learning, like we can learn these habits too, and it's a way to you know, build up our kids to have that resilience and being able to talk about their feelings, and you know, even if they're in a bad mood, they can learn how to, you know, try to resolve it and move out of it.
I also think, like, as parents, think, like, I call it think out loud. So what you're thinking, put words to it. You know, like, maybe you are frustrated that you have to, you know, you're cleaning, but saying that, like, this is making me frustrated, and I am hoping that you can help me clean up so I'm not so frustrated. Things like that, or just what you're doing in your day to day, you know, like, now I have to go get the laundry. You know, it would be nice if you would come help me carry the basket.
It would just make me happy.
Yes.
I think that's a key point too, is just embed, you're talking about your feelings all day.
That language, it just, the more you talk and communicate with each other, the better off your kids are going to be.
And I think it helps the parents too, because I think a lot of adults really don't always recognize how they're feeling too. So just being aware of that and speaking out loud about it, just modeling. But then, like, it helps us as adults, but it also helps the children that are around us also.
Yeah, this is so much, there's so much good stuff in you know, like it's a, you know, it's a simple craft that, you know, even young children can do, and which I think is really important, because, like, I mean, in these projects we have a range of activities, right? So the one we talked about yesterday was really geared more towards teens, but you know, there's all kinds of families in our community, and and I'm really happy that this one, I feel like, is especially accessible to young children. And I think for young children, you know, this situation of being away from their friends and away from school, it's, you know, it's got to be, and maybe not be able to see as many of their relatives as they're used to seeing. You know, it's got to be tough on them, and I think it's tough on, you know, the families who have young children at home. Mine are 10 and 13, so, you know, so they talk to them and they can understand the context a little more. But you know, for younger kids, it's got to be hard.
Right, and I think what happens with the older kids, that we forget that these activities, older kids, teenagers, they love Play-Doh too. They don't want to admit it, but they love it. And so just trying to bring them in and know, like, that's not like a baby activity, but like we can still use Play-Doh when we're adults to express how we feel. I sometimes will say, I'm frustrated. I need to, you know, let me just do some Play-Doh. Let me just like roll the ball and roll the snake. And it just helps relieve some of that frustration or anger. And I think modeling and letting the older children know that it's okay to still play with Play-Doh or talk about our feelings.
It's okay to be silly too sometimes. Like,
yeah,
we all need it.
That might be a way to pull them in, is being silly first, and then working to the other emotions and feelings. Because I think everyone needs it. Always.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes it more universal. Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to be sure and let you guys talk about your school and talk about the School of Science and Technology Northwest. So I have some little banners here. So this is anyway, I'll go solo again, let you guys talk. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about School of Science and Technology Northwest. And then also here's the website if families want to learn more about the school or maybe apply. But can you tell me more about, you know, like how you apply the social emotional learning on campus?
Sure. Well, you know, we're where the school starts for pre-K, and we are huge advocates of our program. We are play-based learning to a T. It's what we really firmly believe in.
It's developmentally appropriate. It's everything that we've learned. You go to school to learn like what's best for children, what's best for the teaching profession, and they have implemented it, and it's amazing. I've been at lots of different schools and places I've moved around, but to be able to really fully implement what's developmentally appropriate for children is amazing. So not just in the pre-K program, but it's embedded throughout the curriculum for all ages. We do a character.org, a character school, bring in the different character traits, but it's very embedded in the curriculum and learning. So again, like we talked about before, kids don't always know that they're learning the social emotional skills that we're trying to implement. We just pull it in. So sorry, I interrupted you.
Fine. I know, across the board at our school, every month there is a character trait that is highlighted. In our program, I think we kind of cover them all the time anyway, because this is naturally what we do. But that's what's great about our school. With our program as well is we're experience-based. So every 2 weeks, we concentrate on a topic. For instance, maybe it's dinosaurs in my classroom, and Mrs. Scott might be the solar system. And so that's her concentration. She's hitting all the pre-K guidelines she can possibly touch on during those 2 weeks, as well as I talking about a different topic, and then we switch. So her class gets to learn what my class learned, my class gets to learn what her class does, and then we revamp it. So every 2 weeks, it's like a brand new classroom. It's super fun. It's so engaging. The kids absolutely love it. We love it.
We do love it.
New toys are constantly being rotated in our classroom. And so it's exciting. Like every 2 weeks, the kids come to school like, what new thing? It's like a new surprise every 2 weeks. So it's super fun.
Right. And I think through we love our pre-K program, and we love Northwest. It is, science and math and focused. We do have a maker space that I know, like the kids as pre-K halfway through the year, we were able to go and do some of the creations in maker space. I think being able to use the art is amazing that the kids are able to do, to pull in those STEM things, but giving the students the opportunities to do that. So we have, if you haven't seen our maker space,
yes,
you really
amazing.
have to go. It's a STEM place where there's lots of things to create. Hands-on creation. And that's, I think the key is the hands-on creation.
Yeah, robotics. Just you name it. With 3D printers, it's super, super amazing. We just absolutely love it.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
Maybe when school starts, I could do a virtual tour. That maybe the principal could walk around with the phone and I can see it. I'm not sure if visitors can come.
I would love to do that. I'm sure.
So our mascot is a narwhal. We call ourselves the Narwhal Nation. We're super proud to be narwhals. It's the most, I think, unique mascot. I think every single one of our students in the whole building is proud to be a narwhal.
And they love narwhals.
Yes, and they also, they've got a chance to learn about what narwhals are. Most people think that they're a magical, mystical creature, and they're actually real. So, anyone who's interested in learning more about our school, we'd be happy to talk more about it. Please reach out to us. Our principal is amazing, Mr. De Leon. He's super proud to be a narwhal as well. And so he is just a fantastic leader.
Well, and I think we have, I love my work home is what I call it. So we have, with the staff, such a cohesiveness in such a short time. And I think that reflects, we all work together, we enjoy being with each other, and that just rolls over to the students, and it gives them a better opportunity to learn.
Yeah, happy place to be when they're not at home. They feel safe and loved as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a wonderful picture of what the school is like. And that's totally consistent with what I've observed. I remember I went to the groundbreaking for the campus that's now, right? I mean, I remember when it was just
our big building.
Yeah. But now it's big and has the makerspace. And Mr. De Leon, I remember him busting out the ukulele at
it's very common.
He will be
regular. Yes, he'll be in the drive-on just going to town. He's come into our classroom and done a performance for us. So
Yeah. I think, that spirit really comes through of expressiveness and creativity and joy, and it's okay to be a little different, and just be yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Well, I'm so thankful. I feel like the post, it's something that's really useful to families, and I hope lots of families try it. And like you said, even like from young children up through teenagers to adults, like, the Play-Doh is soothing, talking about our feelings. We can be silly. It's a great way to cope with all the things that are happening in the world right now. So it's a great activity, but I feel like it's also a really good expression of the culture at SST Northwest, and you guys are great ambassadors for that. So I hope that families get curious about it and maybe go visit the website and get in touch and find out more about the campus.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. Yes, we love it.
Great,
We
okay.
love Northwest.
Yeah. Is there any closing thoughts about like something if families can try today? I mean, they can do the paper plates, they can do the Play-Doh, but just a way to make this time at home with our kids, especially meaningful and helping them grow.
I just want to just like what we mentioned before is just talking with your kids throughout the day, how you're feeling, what you're doing, you being aware yourself. So some people just naturally aren't that way, but just think any kind of feeling that you're feeling, express that. I think that's a easy way to start that takes no materials.
Absolutely. That's like exactly what I was going to say. She read my mind.
Yeah, and we work well together.
Yes.
We're such a good team. Yeah.
Sometimes, and it's okay.
Sometimes we want to just bust down that wall between our classrooms and just
Have one huge, but they won't let us break down the wall. Especially in a new building. They're like, no.
Oh, good. Well, you guys are a dream team, and I think the pre-K students at SSE Northwest are really lucky. So,
well, thank you. We appreciate
you.
that. It means a lot.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on Charter Moms Chats, and I hope families will click through to the blog post and give this activity a try today. Make some faces.
Absolutely. Sounds great.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.